All right, so welcome to episode 2 of Around the Gridiron. We have made it to a second week here. I got my guy Austin here. We're going to talk a little bit about the role of an agent during, pro days, draft prep, that type of stuff. We're going to get into some free agent talk. We're going to talk about some just players moving. There's a lot of stuff going on, and then get into some fun questions we've got just thinking about the game. So, before we kick this off, I know you're a busy guy. You've been on a lot of flights. You're doing pro days. Kind of, for the people that don't know, what's the role of an agent and all of that?
Yeah, so excited that the network brought us back for another week, and the pilot episode, didn't scare anyone off. And but yeah, a lot to talk about. Busy, really busy week for me personally. Just across both the NFL and college football landscapes, and being pro day season now. Scouts for every team are on the road basically every day for the most part. Visiting these schools where it's called the pro day, and it's kind of their on-campus combine testing that they have, where they'll go through all the the drills, the 40s, the shuttles, the bench, the jumps, on-field position specific drills, and then sometimes they'll have time afterwards to sit one-on-one with a scout, go over some of their game tape from the last year, get on the whiteboard, talk some X's and O's, just do some interviews to get to know each other a little bit better, see if they're the right, personality fit for the organization. So, from an agent's perspective, it's a little bit different at every school. Some don't let us in at all. Others, it's kind of free reign and able to roam the sidelines and, talk freely with scouts. I just got home from University of Memphis today, had a linebacker there, J.J. Russell, and pretty good setup there. We were kind of in a box area behind glass, watching the actual workouts, but able to interact, with the players afterwards. And, we're all kind of in a big room with the scouts at the end as well. And really just kind of able to get feedback at that time, kind of vouch for our guys, just be there to support them more than anything else. So definitely exciting time. It's a make or break for a lot of these players, especially ones that, didn't get the opportunity to go to the combine, kind of their chance to show what they can do from an athletic perspective. A lot of teams already kind of have majority of their mind made up, from the film, and now just kind of seeing does the athleticism back what they see on tape, or, are they more athletic than they thought, less athletic? How are they up close in person, when they're talking with you, kind of so on and so forth. So lots to be found.
What are you saying to a scout? If you're there, you're just like, yo, draft my guy. Like, what are you trying to tell them?
I wish. It kind of depends. Some scouts you have real good personal relationships with, and it's a lot more kind of conversational. Others, they're typically on 2-year contracts, so there's a lot of turnover with scouts, and sometimes they get thrown into different areas of the country and always meeting new ones. So you just try to introduce yourself. The biggest thing I think is, a lot of these guys have been doing it so long that not to BS them, not to say, hey, my guy's the best guy in the world, even if you do think it, because they've heard it a million times from, all the other agents out there. So it's more so at this point, just kind of gathering feedback, being able to relay that to the player, answering any questions, about him and your interactions up to this point, your working relationship with the player. Because if a scout doesn't trust your word, or, you lie to them once, they're not going to forget that going forward. So it's always, we have a fiduciary obligation to, put our client in the best light possible. But at the same time, you can't stretch the truth too much on things, and, you want to be as forthcoming as possible. So again, right now, more information gathering, and then closer to the draft is more kind of, lobbying for them and vouching, and really trying to find, okay, free agency settled a little bit. What are the better teams to try to target our approach with, and try to gain some leverage within those? So,
okay.
That's kind of the approach right now, at least during the pro day season.
So, yeah, okay, that's good to know. And it sounds like your guys had some good days, but I mean, maybe not you specifically, but maybe some other agents. What happens when your guy just has a shit day, right? Like, he knows it, you know it. Is it just like, hey man, let's go to Canada and see if they'll take you? Like,
Well, the good thing is a lot of CFL scouts are at these pro days. So, and those scouts will have conversations with agents, leading up to the draft. If they believe that, hey, a guy may be borderline NFL talent, let's get the ball rolling a little bit and see if there's interest, from the agent or the player. But it is tough because I've been through that, having some clients in the past years where, they didn't show up, how we thought they were going to at the pro day. And, it could be demoralizing for everybody involved. But, as an agent, I think you just have to cheer them up, keep them positive, because it's still not over. There's been guys who've tested really poorly, but gone on to have great NFL careers. And you just control what you can control at the end of the day. But you sometimes do start looking at, hey, what might be the plan B or plan C? Say this knocked you out of being drafted. Okay, now what's our approach for free agency? Or if they were kind of a free agent prospect to begin with, okay, what are maybe some other leagues we can start to at least have those conversations with? And so we're not behind the eight ball should you not have an opportunity after the draft ends.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's cool that the Canadian guys are there actually, like on hand, like just like I guess they're kind of scavenging, hoping they can pick a guy up.
Exactly. And that's what, kind of happens a lot of times is they'll, have a guy who may go into camp and get cut, but they've had some of those conversations and flies right up to Canada, afterwards and kind of gets in the tail end of the season there and sticks for another couple of years. And been plenty of guys who've come back down south, after having some successful CFL careers. And, now we have like the USFL that's doing a lot of scouting. I had a couple conversations with some of their scouts earlier in the winter, trying to get some of my guys to bypass the draft and go straight to there. And
wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. Just that's their approach and trying to get some younger talent in. And then next year we have the XFL returning yet again. And what are your thoughts on some of those leagues? I know they've all been kind of 1 year wonders for the most part, but you coming from the Pioneer Conference, I'm sure you've had some guys or teammates or guys you've played against that, I don't know if the XFL, the original one, were still around then or any of the alternative leagues when you were coming out, but I'm sure there are some players that you knew that probably would have been had a good opportunity to maybe fill in and then get another shot from the NFL to the NFL from there.
Yeah, I think so. When I was in the PFL, wasn't that long ago. I was a kid when the XFL originally was playing. So when I was in the PFL, it was the year after John Harbaugh had just left for Stanford.
Okay.
And so he actually had his quarterback at San Diego was Josh Johnson, who I think
he's been everywhere, man.
Yeah. So that was kind of the hope, was like guys were hoping, okay, either you get a tryout or maybe you try CFL. And then I think that was really kind of it. There was no XFL, there was no AAF, or I think that was the one that came out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the arena leagues had just folded up like a couple years prior to that.
Right, because they used to pay a living wage, and it was, competitive for a while, and then that kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I remember Chicago Rush. I used to like to watch their games, and the Bears even signed a guy off of that team. I forget his name now, but yeah, man, there weren't too many options, and some guys went and played in Europe, but like that European football is just like, for lack of it's just keeping the dream alive. Like,
right. Yeah, I think more so just seeing another part of the world and just getting to play the game for a little bit longer. But there are a few cases of guys going out over there and balling and coming back, but for the most part, it's you know what you're signing up for, and it's just kind of love of the game at that point.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, I mean, it's really tough. So I like these leagues because I think the NFL needs some type of developmental league, or and I know these leagues probably don't want to be that stepping stone, but you need something for these guys that maybe need an extra year, maybe need to learn some more of the X's and the O's and figure it out. Because the CFL, I think they have a limit, right, on how many American players they take.
Yeah, it's a limit. And then, they can also have X number like international players that aren't considered U.S. or Canadian as well. But it's a different game up there too. I mean, they won't take, like, they don't have tight ends. They have an extra DB on the field.
Wow.
Typically if you're an American, you have to be a quarterback, a skill, like offensive skill guy, sometimes running back, an athletic lineman. They don't want big lumbering linemen because the play clock is, correct me, I think it's 20 seconds in between plays, or I know it's shorter than what the NFL is.
Yeah.
3 downs, so much more passing, much more wide open. So they take athleticism is a premium, and they'll take a guy who's not as good of a football player, but more athletic than just because it's a different game and rule set. So it is interesting. And, some certain position guys don't have that fallback option to go up to Canada. And it's competitive up there. I mean, there's a lot of like superstars from, American colleges that go up there and are just average at best. If they're lucky,
Yeah.
So I think a lot of guys, that I just being in the agent business have seen like, oh, I can go up and dominate in Canada. And like, you didn't even dominate college in the US. And like, these guys are still incredible athletes. And again, some of the best football players in the world are just a little bit leveled down from what the NFL is. But that's good that they've lasted through the pandemic. And because I know there was, a lot of concern with that, and happy that we have some of these other leagues, starting to pop up, and hopefully there's some longevity to them because of, like you said, some guys just need a little bit more board work or some more reps. And there's enough guys out there that are good enough for the NFL. It's just kind of about that opportunity and getting in the right system to stick.
Yeah, no, I agree. I got a question for you though. This is something I always think about. Like, so you played in Miami, right? There's a wide array of guys in Miami. Some are probably going first round. Some are going later. The big name guys love to work out at the places like Exos and all those places to get ready for the draft. Yeah. I assume that stuff is free or somebody's paying for it. But like, you mentioned ROI in the last episode. You got a 6th round guy and he's like, I want to go to Exos. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like, does that ever happen? Do you have to tell these guys like, hey, we can't send you to the top of the line trainer?
Yeah. So this is a topic that I really get frustrated with too, and love talking about it because very, very few agents played the game past high school. So they haven't been in a D1 weight room. They don't really know like the qualifications that goes into being a Division I strength and conditioning coach, and just how much more education and certifications anyone can open up a gym. And a lot of these guys, they're all salesmen first and foremost. That any independent, training facility, they're a salesman, and then secondarily, they're a trainer. And there's some fantastic ones out there, that just don't want to be involved in college athletics and the grind with that. No fault of their own, and I don't blame them. But there are a lot that there's no reason to leave your school if for 90% of these facilities out there, in my opinion. And really, I think it was about 10 to 15 years ago is when the whole kind of training industry phenomenon started popping up for the pre-draft training. Before everybody trained at their schools, and guys were still running 4.3s and jumping 40-inch verticals. So there's no evidence at all that you do better training at an independent facility, but there can be some benefits. For one, sometimes if a guy's, this is kind of a double-edged sword. If you've been with the same strength coach for 3 or 4 years, it could be good to learn some new stuff, but at the same time, you have someone that knows your body. And I see a lot of players go and get injured at these facilities too.
Yeah.
So, that is something that, there's 2 sides of that spectrum. It can be good if your school's in a distracting area, or, you just need to kind of get away. That's also something can be beneficial. Or if you need more nutrition support, if you're kind of more of a mid-major school that might not have as big of like the food and training table and supplement budget. But yeah, just from an agent's perspective on like sending guys to places, I try to avoid the big ones that you named, just because, one, it's expensive, and being an independent agent up to this point, I got to be much more mindful of my budget, because the agents are 90+% of the time, fronting the cost of these facilities. Two, a lot of these guys are going to be just bottom of the totem pole, or just a dime a dozen, where a lot of facilities are taking as many guys as they possibly can get in. So, I always say, do you want to spend these next 8 weeks with most of your time being with an intern? because, why leave campus otherwise, when you can be a priority to your strength and conditioning staff there. So I try to go for some of like the mid to smaller facilities, guys that I do trust and know have gotten great results, but also are going to limit their number to, 8 to 10 to maybe 15 guys at the most, where you're getting personal attention the whole time because, you're getting ready for the biggest job interview of your life. And, do you want to be with the head guy that entire time, or, do you want to be, again, kind of with the intern or, a newer, coach that's going to be training you. So
right.
It is a weird phenomenon. And, I think a lot of players see other guys going places, so they think they have to go. And kind of goes back to the agent thing. It's like, oh, who have you represented? But, how does that affect your representation? That doesn't make you, Nate Atkins, a better player. Just if I represented an all-pro, it's not going to add you any other benefit to your situation. So kind of interesting on just, what players get in their minds and, what they think they have to do. And, but, it is kind of just something we had to deal with and probably not going anywhere for time. Was that something that, when you were playing, were guys training at other places, like in the off seasons, or anyone who was trying to go pro, were they training at school or?
Yeah, so it depends. I mean, if you were in the Chicago area, there's a big place out there that was called, it's still probably around, EFT. I think that was like a big place. So a lot of guys were trying to get into EFT. That was probably the main spot in the Midwest, I think. But I mean, I had teammates. Again, I think people, you like what you like, I guess, for a better term. So like for guys that like working out at their school, they work out at their school, or they like a guy they go to at home. I know there were a lot of guys that, I can't remember his name, but he did like the Prowler sled, and he worked with like Cushing and those guys, whatever that gym was. I had buddies that liked to train there. So I think it was a mixed bag, I think people, to your point, people worked out at certain places and liked them. Yeah. But I know lately it seems like some of these places just seem to be like the premier destinations, like the IMGs and the Exos.
It's funny because these guys get the first and second round players, and those guys are already, the freak athletes coming in. So so many guys ran 4.3s or 4.4s. Well, they were already doing that, and they were superstars in track and field in high school. And all you had to do is what any coach could just kind of shore up the start technique a little bit, because they haven't done it in a couple of years probably. But the base athleticism is there. So it's funny, just fast guys go to these fancy facilities, and it's just kind of like an infinite loop at that point, is what it seems like to me.
Yeah, like, oh, we made this guy better, but we really didn't. So you made a good comment about like, hey, it's about who you rep. Who did you rep? I'm going to show you a picture of this guy, and I don't know who he's repped by, but tell me how this makes you feel when you see it. I don't know if you can see that there.
No, it's not popping up for me. Oh, here we go.
So how do you feel about that guy, Matt Ryan? For people that are listening to the podcast, is now an Indianapolis Colt, and you are a Colts fan. So you like this? You excited, or?
Yeah, I think it's a good pickup. So yeah, I mean, we were talking, I think, on the first podcast about some free agency QBs, and I can't remember if it was Ryan that I said, if we're going to build a team around kind of like a more mid tier, and I asked, does Matt Ryan count these days? But I'm excited. I think he's not a long-term solution, obviously. I had some interest in Baker Mayfield joining, Gardner Minshew as well, and we kind of talked about him a little bit. Just younger guys, but some more risk involved. I think Ryan's the safest bet with still a lot of upside, at least for the next 2, maybe 3 years. Colts have a team that can go all the way or close to it. They can at least compete at that level, but quarterback is, the main, was the main thing that they were missing. And then, hopefully they can get him an extra receiver or two. But one of the best O-lines in the league, one of the best running backs, good defense. They got a couple holes there that they lost in free agency, but they're definitely a playoff talented team, and I think he's a much better bridge quarterback than they kind of had the last couple of years. And again, we talked about it's kind of a weaker QB class this year and a much stronger one next year. Maybe you don't draft a QB this year and then try to trade up, get some extra capital, and get one of those kind of early round guys like a CJ Stroud from Ohio State or Bryce Young from Alabama or, a Tyler Van Dyke from Miami. There's, a handful of other guys that could be potential first rounders and probably a little bit more talent than what you're getting in the first round or early second in this draft. And I think Ryan could win now. And then, maybe you draft a developmental guy kind of towards the end of this year again and see if you strike gold, with that just as a backup. But, overall, I think it's a good hire. They end up gaining an extra, I think, third-round pick, when you factor in the Wentz trade to Washington. And then Atlanta ate pretty much all the dead cap money. So, financially it was a win as well. But, how do you think his, what does he have left in the tank in your opinion?
Enough. I guess my question is like, who are they throwing the ball to out there?
I do think that's a bigger question. I think the good thing now is, he has a legitimate O-line for probably the first time in his career.
Yeah.
So, maybe he can throw a little Taylor. Bit. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. So, that'll take some pressure off him as well. But like what you said, he does need to get some more weapons around him to throw to. I think they have a younger and a little bit more unproven receiving core as it stands today.
I got one more thing I'm going to show up here on the screen for you, if you can see it.
Yeah. I
don't know if you remember this.
Oh, is that the Pat McAfee play?
Yeah, fourth and 3 here. What can you walk me through what's going on?
I'll tell you one thing. I could have got the same result for cheaper. But this is something that still puzzles me. I don't know like if it was just supposed to be like a pass over here, but it doesn't really look like anyone's kind of looking in. And then he just kind of took off and ran like he was. I mean, I know he was athletic for a punter, definitely, and he was a soccer guy growing up. But I mean, it's 3 on 2 basically, straight ahead. So,
who was this? Pagano? Was he the coach when you guys?
I think it was. Yeah, I want to say it was Pagano at that time. Good guy, and he's got quite the story, but probably not the best play call.
He won't want this one shown on his highlight reel. Yeah, man. I like the Ryan thing. I mean, we'll get into it next, talking about Deshaun Watson. But I think trading for Deshaun Watson blew up a lot of teams. I think the Falcons went all in on trying to get Watson, and I don't think that sat right with Ryan. And
then you saw just even before they actually signed him, Baker was like, "I'm done. If you're gonna flirt with another girl, I'm out of here."
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I like Watson like the next guy, even if I ignore the off the field stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other conversation, but just on field, very talented, but not for what they paid, man. I don't know.
I agree with the pay, and I think
and what they gave up too. I mean,
they gave up a lot. But I'm like, man, there was some, and I don't want to put it on him, but I'm like, there were some years in Houston where you had Watson, you had a great defense, you had Hopkins, Fuller, Lamar Miller at running back, maybe even Arian Foster. I don't know if Foster was there at one point. I'm like, he's had a lot of weapons, he's had a lot of stuff, and I don't know if they've ever won a playoff game.
Yeah, I would say he's never been a top 5 QB at any point in his career, and he's still not today, in my opinion. Maybe in the top 10, you could say, but to have the highest guaranteed contract in NFL history is, I mean, we'll see what happens, but this is one of the things that could be the worst acquisition in the history of the NFL, in my opinion. Just One, we'll see, again, the whole off-field thing is another conversation that we could spend an entire podcast talking about if we wanted to. Rather not touch that too much.
I don't want to get into it.
But just as far as what they gave up and what they're paying, I mean, man, they're going, this is the future of their franchise that they're banking on, because this could set them back a decade plus if it doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, horrible move. Just a complete. I get why Baker wanted to leave. Who knows what Atlanta was willing to give up or trying to give up to get him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just don't think they had as much to offer. But look, like I said, the stuff off the field, I don't want to get into it. The only thing that's weird to me always with these things is like, there's always people on social media that want to become a lawyer and defend some of these people, and I'm like, they don't need you to do that for them. Like, no,
right?
Deshaun Watson has a legal team. Like he doesn't need you.
We weren't. We don't know what's like in the whole case. Like, we weren't part of these conversations. We're not in the back rooms discussing or in the court. It's like, we don't know like shit that's actually going on with this besides just what the media kind of feeds. But everyone, it's kind of like a one size or other. Like he's a rapist and he's guilty, or he's like, of course he's innocent. Like, they're all after his money, and it's like, dude, we don't know, man.
Yeah, no one knows, and the answer is probably somewhere in between. And
exactly.
I just, I hope he didn't do it, but I want to talk about the football stuff again, because again, I just don't think he's that good. I loved him at Clemson. I think he's electric as a player.
Well, but he got my coach fired when I was at Miami. So that was kind of good and bad, I guess, at the time. But
was that Al Golden?
Yeah, 58-0, and crazy, man. So, loved him as a player. Just, I mean, it was tough. Been on another team. I admired him a lot as a player. In his college years, fun to watch. A program that historically wasn't that good for a long time, and he's definitely made plays in the NFL, but he's just not on that level to, again, command top salary in the league. I mean, you could name close to 10 QBs I'd pay over him, or close to that amount. So
well, I'm curious to see how it skews the market. You're an agent, and I saw a guy on Twitter tonight, like $230 million is the new market for Lamar Jackson.
Say, if you rep a QB, you're licking your chops right now, man. So, I mean, again, like Lamar Jackson, again, not a top 5 QB in my opinion, but he's probably going to try to get close to that money. You're going to have, who else is
Kyler's going to be due for a contract soon here.
And that's another situation where they're trying to ask for way more than what their value really is, but someone might pay it. So I guess you value it what someone's willing to pay. But is he worth it? I don't think so. We'll see what happens.
Speaking of people who may not be worth it, and I hate to preface it that way, Tyreek Hill. $30 million a year to go to the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, a lot of capital that the Chiefs got. It's a tough one because again, this is a situation where I kind of see both sides. That Kansas City's getting right on the cusp of Super Bowl. He's your best player, arguably, or best skill player. Huge part of that team, and does it hurt you next year or the following year to kind of reach that Super Bowl? Now I saw they just signed Marquez
Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, the last name always trips me up. So I think they got a good replacement. A lot of people say it's better to get rid of a guy a year or two early than a year or two late, where they're able to get a lot more capital back. They're not having that huge cap hit where they got some. Gave some decent money to Valdez-Scantling, but they also have some more money left over where they can get another weapon or get someone else on the line or whatever other position in need and have some extra draft capital. So I don't think it's a terrible move by Kansas City. It's, really kind of Miami is, again, how long is Tyreek going to be top of his game? Is he going to go off one of those kind of athletic cliffs where some of these speed guys just lose it quickly, or is he going to have a little bit more longevity? Because I don't know if Tua's quite ready for them to, get rid of all this draft capital and kind of going with some older, he needs help, but I don't know if this was the right help.
I'm looking at this
on
now.
a longer term frame. Like, does this make them compete enough? I don't know.
So yeah, I'm looking. They gave up a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a fourth, and then a fourth and a sixth for next year. So they basically gave up their first 2 picks in this year's draft for Tyreek Hill. And like, I guess, what are their needs? What are the Dolphins' needs? Because I know they signed some guys. Signed Teron Armstead. They got
that was a good signing.
So let's see. Top 10 Dolphins priorities. This article says hire the right coach. Okay, whatever. Yeah, right. Isn't that everybody's?
Yeah.
To fix the offensive line. Okay, so they did some of that. What else? I mean, I'm trying to think. This article sucks. Sorry, I'm not going to say who it is. Create an identity on offense. Blah blah blah. Give me some picks.
So just throwing out just buzzwords.
Yeah. Add a running back. Okay, you don't need
that with the first. Added a few. Yeah.
Gesicki, I think extend Gesicki. I don't know that they did that, but
I think he got tagged. I don't know if they ended up.
Emmanuel Ogbah, and then Xavier Howard. Okay. All right. Well, hey, guy that wrote this sucks. So I'm going to search for a different article that gives me what I'm looking for. So let's see. We're not going to call out anybody's names, but just what do they need? So the Dolphins signed Cedric Wilson, Chase Edmonds, Connor Williams, Emmanuel Ogbah, Gesicki, Mostert, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, I guess they kind of short all this stuff up in free agency.
Yeah.
And then they just got Tyreek Hill. And they're losing Austin Reeder, Jacoby Brissett, Will Fuller. Yeah, I mean, look, I guess if you can add all that in free agency, what do you need 2 first round or 2 picks for? So
yeah, I mean, makes sense. I guess they're just betting on that he's going to be able to stick around for that contract and really not drop off.
That's a big piece.
So that you really never know at that position, and more of a fragile position. But he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down up to this point. So I hope it works out for Miami. The question is Tua the guy or not? So I think this maybe helps them find that out. That you have a top 3 receiver in the league, arguably. Is Tua the guy, or do we have to start looking elsewhere? And I think maybe part of bringing in Bridgewater as the number 2 is, hey, we got a legitimate borderline starter who is still serviceable, that if we do need to go in a different direction, at least we're not really out of luck.
Like if we're actually to your point, if we're actually good here, we got somebody that can keep it on course instead of this guy who might ruin it. Again, sorry Tua if you heard that. But so
Tua's got to boycott the podcast.
Yeah, Tua Tungalo. I can't even say it. Tua doesn't like
Tagovailoa, I think.
Yeah. He's been around long enough. We should know how to say it, but we don't.
We should have a segment where we just say the most difficult players' names. See if we can get it right.
We'll do it for the end of next week's pod. We'll throw some crazy names out there. I was going to say, the Tua question, right? Like, again, crazy, the drama. I'm blanking on the guys. Brian Flores. That was his whole thing, right? Before he got fired, was that he supposedly told Tua, you suck, and I wish we had a different quarterback.
And that's one of the positions you probably don't want to do that, like that, and your kicker, because they're such mental positions that if you get kind of in a rut, like in baseball or something, or go through a slump, and sometimes you don't get out of it, man.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great to come in, because again, when you're sucking, and it's you just come in and your coach is like, you're the worst choice we ever could have made.
Thanks for the support.
Got it, coach.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Well, especially with the head guy, if he doesn't like you, then it's you don't even want to show up to work at that point.
Right. I mean, fortunately for Tua, it worked out where he stayed, the head guy went. Obviously, that comes with its own headache. But again, we won't touch on that. I feel like that's been talked about so much. But talking about a guy who's kind of probably feeling like nobody wants him anymore, I think Baker Mayfield is in that boat. Can't find a fit here.
It's tough, and maybe we end up seeing a Trubisky situation where Baker kind of goes on a 1-year rental as a established number 2, maybe learn from another higher level quarterback, and I like Baker. A lot of people don't like the personality, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and doesn't take shit from anybody, and maybe he just has to be in a situation where, I don't know if he needs to mature or not, but just kind of prove that, hey, he can be a leader and, still has football left in him. And then, you saw Trubisky has a shot to be the starter now in, Pittsburgh after, spending a year behind Josh Allen. And I think it was a year or 2 years. How long?
Just a year. Yeah,
just a year. Yeah. In Buffalo. So, maybe that's the situation. I'm just trying to think, where else can he go to compete that's going to want to bring him in. I don't know what the team, I don't know what the team was, or if they released the name, but one was like asking for a draft pick to take on Baker or something, if I'm not mistaken, because they don't want to take on his contract, and that's not a good sign, man.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind him coming to Chicago and putting some competition on Justin Fields, but I know that's not what you want to do to a young guy. But
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, that might mess Fields up, going forward. I was trying to think who else might have an aging quarterback, or I mean, Seattle could be I don't see unless they just really believe in Drew Lock, but he's unproven at this point.
Well, are they gonna? Let's see. Are they expected to draft a guy in the mock? I don't know where the Seahawks are picking. I'm looking it up now. Let's see. Seahawks. No, this mock is saying they're going to take Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati.
He's a Seattle corner, man. He'd be a good fit. It's what they've historically brought in. They're bigger, longer arm guys and physical and press coverage.
That's a good team that would need a quarterback, though. Seattle. Houston, I guess, needs a quarterback. I don't know who they have.
Yeah, Davis Mills.
That's right.
Respectable. I think he was a rookie last year.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so I mean, he showed something. But yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a bad fit. Or again, I mean, Drew Lock's on his rookie deal. Baker still on his rookie deal. I mean, it's not cheap, but go 1-year rental, see who's better, and then go forward with them, or draft someone else next year.
Yeah, Vikings, Giants. I'm looking at the teams. Atlanta took Mariota, which was whatever. Green Bay. I don't know. I'm just I don't know.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's going to be the backup and kind of just learn for a year or two and compete afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I think in Atlanta he could compete for a starting job. Seattle he could. Houston he could.
I mean, sitting behind Rodgers wouldn't be terrible, but they've got Jordan Love.
Rodgers is probably going to stay for a couple more years now, I would think, with that new deal. So again, are you just going to learn and then leave after a year, or are you going, do you want to compete for a starting job?
Yeah, that's another one that we didn't talk about, and I forgot until you said it. Devontae Adams, man.
Yeah, that was a huge contract, and that's what I'm kind of wondering is was Rodgers, was his contract, did that affect Adam staying? Did Adam just want out regardless?
I thought they were boys, so I thought for sure.
I did too. So was Rodgers? I mean, I don't know if you can ever be dumb for taking was a $150 million deal, but just from the sake of competition for your team, was it a bad move? If you're wanting to compete for a Super Bowl, because the whole thing that least we kept hearing is, is he not getting the support that he needs? At receiver, they were never drafting first round receivers and really getting him weapons. And, there you go. You take all this money and, I thought it wasn't about the money for him. And maybe it was.
No, they got a bunch of bullshit at receiver. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but they'll figure it out. Or Rodgers complain a lot.
Valdez Scanling's gone too. And then, so I saw they just re-signed Robert Tonyan, their tight end, who's good, but he's coming off an ACL, I believe. And so see how he, recovers from that. But the cupboard's looking a little bare.
They're going to have to draft a guy. I'm looking, the mock is saying Green Bay takes Treylon Burks at 22.
Not a bad pick.
Yeah, big guy.
But still, you need more than just a rookie receiver. That's not going to push the needle.
Amari Rodgers was good at Clemson, but I don't know that he's like a stud.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's been kind of just another guy in the league so far.
Right.
But I really liked him at Clemson. I think he's got talent. He's got another year or two under his belt. I think he could kind of propel himself forward and be more of a weapon. But I like that he was interchangeable. You could put him in the slot or outside, and great athlete. So something to work.
I think he's starting to hit that wall, right, where it's like either, you got to start to produce, or I don't know. But I mean, I'm looking at him now on Wikipedia. He's 5'9", 212. I mean, that's a running back to me. Like,
jacked.
4 catches for 45 yards in his career, and he returns punts. So I mean, they got it. T. Martin is his dad. I didn't know that.
I remember hearing that. But he was good at Clemson. Showed a lot on tape. Has some athleticism. Can you put it together though? And some of those traits are there, but sometimes it doesn't translate. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't know. He's 3rd round pick, so he's gonna have to do something soon. Baker Mayfield, we talked about. Matt Ryan. I'm trying to think. Here we'll see. I got the mocks up. Who do they have the Colts taking? Devontae Wyatt. We don't have a first, right? Because that was.
Oh no, they don't. That's a trade.
The Wentz trade.
Yeah, no, that's right. There's okay. So with your pick, they think the Eagles are going to take Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia, and with the Bears pick, it looks like they think the Giants are going to take Charles Cross, which is a lineman that the Bears could probably use. Yeah, is that Mississippi State? Yeah. They could probably use that. It's been interesting, obviously I write about the Bears, but watching just like these guys they're signing, they're not sexy names. I didn't expect them to be, I like Quan Muhammad. I think he's a solid signing. Good. Well, player. That one, yeah. But like the offensive linemen have kind of been reserve guys. What do you think of Eberflus? Or is that? Yeah, Eberflus. Eberflus, however you say it. I like him. I like defensive guys, obviously. I play defense, but wins championships, right? Yeah, that's right. That's what we say. It's the only way you stay relevant because everyone loves offense. But I think he's good. He's a Saban disciple. He's been around the block. I obviously like the defensive guys he brought in. I like I like Ogunjobi, who he's going to bring in before he failed that physical. I like Jason Jones, who he brought in. I like Quan Muhammad, who he brought in. Great clip of him running down Lamar Jackson, which sold me on him right away. He was athletic, man. He scared me at Miami. He's a big dude. This is kind of a weird sorry, I just dropped some papers. A weird I guess analogy, but he reminded me of like an alligator. If I had to liken him to an animal, just his build and dude, he was just ferocious. He was springy but stocky at the same time. But yeah, violent dude, good guy. But because he got he's part of this. We had this kind of rental car scandal when I was there, and a couple guys got dismissed, and he was part of that. So, oh shit, I don't know if he ended up getting drafted or late, or if he was a free agent. But
he missed a year, leading into the draft. And I do think he probably would have been, I think that was when Rick came in, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think he would have been, a much higher pick, probably like top 2-3 rounds, had that not happened. And so he's carved out a really nice career for himself, kind of given how he came into the league.
Yeah.
But good athlete, man. I think he'll do well in Chicago.
No, dude, he looks like a killer. Speaking of guys getting drafted, our last 5 minutes here, I just want to do some quick fire things, putting you on the spot, putting myself on the spot. So the first thing we're going to do is you get drafted. We won't care about the round. What are the first 3 things you're going to buy as a rookie?
Stocks.
Oh, he's buying stocks. Okay.
I'm smart, man. I make that money last. And I use my money to make more money.
All right. You got that, 2 more.
This is tough because I come from a different situation than most players do. But I probably buy something nice for my mom. What that is, I don't really know yet, but carve out some money for mom. Doesn't need a car, but I'll think of something. And then last thing, probably do a down payment on a house if I think I'm going to stay. It depends on where I'm drafted. If I'm an early round guy and think, hey, I'm going to stick here for at least a couple years, maybe I'll do that. If I'm a later round guy, might not be a good investment. I guess cliche thing was to say, buy a new car instead.
Yeah, dude, you're going so like pragmatic. I don't know what. Okay, so stocks, not bad. Buying
average first less than 3 years, man. You got to make that money last.
All right, but it's not maybe on my first 3. I like the mom. Yeah. I'd go with that. Something for mom. House. Have a house. Houses are a lot of work. You get your money sometimes. Value goes up with their work. I don't know. Probably something stupid like a Ferrari or something. I think you got to do that.
That'd be a nice one.
Unless, I don't care. Even if I'm like a 6th-round pick, we'll just say Ferrari. That's probably my whole contract right there.
I'm sure it's happened before.
I'm a big Jordan collector, so I would buy every rare pair of Jordans that I don't want to spend that kind of money on today.
Yeah.
And then I will say I'm going to get stocks, just not with my first 3 things. What's the last thing I would buy? I don't know. Probably rent a yacht or something and just throw a big party on it.
Yeah, I think just a vacation somewhere overseas would be, or out of the country would be a good way to spend some money. At least a nice experience.
Yeah.
Party wouldn't be a bad idea, like you said. Though you want to bring some of your boys along.
All right. I'm moving quick because I know we want to cut it short. Here's the next thing I'm going to show you. All right, so I had some swag. I don't know what you wore on the field.
Yeah, I wore a lot of shit.
What are we going to say is too much? I'm going to show you a guy. This guy, he's doing too much.
Yeah, so that's not swag. That's stupid.
Over the top. If you're listening, this guy's got 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 sweatbands on his arm.
Well, you know his arms are gonna be dry though, so maybe that's
that's right.
Maybe he needs an Old Spice or some type of deodorant sponsorship if sweating is that big of a concern. But yeah, the how many is it? 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it 9?
I think it's got to be
8 or 9. That's
8 or 9. Yeah.
Kind of weird, man. I
love that the guy next to him is just bare armed.
I like the bicep because those the thin ones. I like wearing the bicep bands or 1 or 2 of them on each arm, but that's over the top.
Yeah, I'm
I do like the towel in the back though. I love having the towel hang out of the back.
All right, yeah. So all right. This guy, is he doing too much? He's number 0, which is already you're really asserting yourself with the 0.
Yeah, it's a new thing in college football, as of a year or 2 ago. Yeah.
And guys are loving it, which whatever. And then you've got your 9 sweatbands, you've got your gloves, no wrist tape, but you've got your gloves, you got a towel, and I'm just gonna assume he's got a visor on.
I was
I'm
a
like,
visor guy too, man. I love having the visor.
yeah, I love the visor. I was a big visor guy. But have you ever? Well, shit, you were down there in Miami. When it rains, dude, trying
Oh,
to keep
dude.
those
Well,
things off.
even when it didn't rain, because it's like so fall camp, fall, it starts like the end of July or early August. It's like 90% humidity, every day. And it would rain every day too, just because storm season, we'd have a shower roll through. But even when it wasn't raining, I mean, it made it so hot because like your breath is just like staying in it, and then it'll fog up sometimes if it's real high humidity. So, that's the price to pay for swag though, man.
Yeah, yeah. You got to look good.
Yeah.
And
So
and
I was
then
always, I mean, I had to wear gloves just because I was a receiver.
yeah,
So, for me, I didn't consider that like part of the get up, but loved having the visor, wore a back plate. But, I think it did help just being the smaller guy getting hit a bunch. But of course, you had to show it though, to let everyone know you're wearing
yeah.
one. Towel hanging out at the back, a couple sweatbands. I didn't do too much else, outside of that. I was an eye black guy too, though.
Yeah.
So I got
Oh,
the blue eyes, so they're sensitive to the light, but I always thought the eye black looked cool as well. So.
while we do that, I'm gonna look this guy up who I think overdoes it on the eye black.
I've seen some of them, but it's like the whole face or like
yeah, like what are we doing?
I think it was USC, one of their quarterbacks who was like a freshman last year. He like came in and started a game or two, and people were saying it was like the Anakin like Skywalker thing where it was like going like across his eye. It was almost like a Scarface type.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I want to show you this guy who played at Notre Dame. He's on the Bengals now, I think. Khalid Kareem. I'm just like, dude, give it a rest.
Yeah, that's weird too, man.
Come on,
Batman, bro.
Yeah, like you're not blocking out light at that point. Like that's just. But yeah, no, it's funny. It's a little after my time, but what I really wish I could have pulled off was the Zeke Elliott, where he used to, roll all the way up and have his belly out.
Well,
I thought that was,
you were a lineman, right? Did you pull it off back then?
I did not have abs, but I would have loved to just play a game with like half of my stomach out.
I'm not a fan of that look. It's funny. I don't know how to share on here, but Quinn Miners, O lineman on the Broncos.
Here, I'll look it up.
He does that look, and he's got the gut, and it's pretty funny.
All right. Yeah, I might be the guy that's stuck with sharing. All right, Quinn Miners. Oh yeah, I see it. Dude, yeah, here we go.
He rocks it. He does a good job with it.
You can't let one guy have all the fun. Well, they stopped Zeke, right? Like they told players no more.
I think so. Yeah. Well, he's got that weird like stomach tattoo also, and it's.
Yeah. So here we go.
Zeke's an interesting guy, man.
Yeah.
Miners rocks it though.
I like that. That's fun. Like look at the guy next to me. He's so boring, right? Like right. Just weird down the wrist one.
Would you mess with a guy with his stomach hanging out like that? I would.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to.
He's giving you and he's got the wrist braces on too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree. Tough guy.
Got looks like the dad lawn mowing shoes.
Yeah. Oh,
like the Air Monarchs looking.
Dude, that was like my biggest thing as a lineman was like.
Dude, the cleats look awful, man.
Never wear those lineman cleats. Like they're just big chunky. As we talk about swag, knee pads.
That's a good one.
A guy on Twitter I'm a good friend with in the bleachers. He was like a scout team guy. And he tells this funny story where he never played at Carolina, came out, wasn't wearing knee pads. The ref was like, hey, if you come in the game like that with no knee pads, I'm going to flag you. And he's just like, okay, cool. Because like he knew he wasn't going to play. I'm not putting on knee pads. I hated knee pads. I would always cut them, like try to make them
try to make them as small as possible. And
yeah, what do you think about knee pads?
Yeah, they suck. Well, they really don't serve a purpose. Like if you're one, like all it does is like if you bang knees with someone or maybe a helmet to it, but if you get hit in the knee, it's not going to feel good no matter what. It's
Right.
doesn't prevent like an action, like when people think knee injury, ACL, MCL, something like a tear does nothing to actually prevent that. I think it's just, if anything, it's just restrictive. Doesn't look cool.
I agree.
I mean, there's so a lot of guys didn't wear them in college, and I think the refs were a lot of times lenient. It kind of just depended on the crew that came in, but or they'd pretty much wear them like they'd have their shorts cut above their knees, so the actual knee pads were like on the bottoms of their thighs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how they got away with, hey, I'm wearing my knee pads. I just have long legs, or they don't give me pants that fit, or whatever.
That's smart. Yeah.
So that was kind of the workaround where you're compliant, but they're not actually touching your knee at all. I know, I remember like Michael Badgley, our kicker, he would cut them to the size of like literally like maybe a $50 or something, just as small as possible, that it's like something in there. But it's like, I know some guys will like roll up, like get like a sock and just put it in like the sleeve holder instead.
Yeah.
But I was never a fan of the knee pads, and then even the thigh pads, a lot of the guys like wear the girdles now. And then what some of us would do is we would take like the classic thigh pad, the foam pad, cut it open where it's just a thin little plastic piece on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
Wear that. So it's, you have a little bit of protection, because like a thigh bruise doesn't feel good. But it's still like you're not restricted at all, and you're not really losing speed or anything, and still compliant, within the rules. But seems like a lot of NFL guys like aren't wearing like any leg pads at all. And
I don't see it.
At least like in the thighs and knees, like a lot of guys don't wear any at all, and they don't just
right.
I don't know if there's even a rule around it now or not, or if it's just not policed. But it's weird. They fine you if you have the wrong color socks, but it doesn't matter if you don't have knee pads in or anything else. So.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I'm like, I don't think any of these guys are wearing it, but I feel the same way about like mouth guards. I feel like a lot of guys in the NFL don't wear mouth guards.
Yeah, and that's something like I was like always made sure I wore, because like, one, you don't want your like having to fix a tooth would suck. Two, I mean, there's like, I guess it's kind of inconclusive. I mean, nothing like prevents a concussion, but I think it like reduces the force. And if you're like, there's like some science behind like if your jaw is like connected, that your body absorbs some more of the hit. Like you could still be concussed from it, like wearing a mouth guard, but I think it's supposed to take some of that shock and maybe like lower the severity. And as a guy who probably had close to like 8 concussions, like I was always scared about, if I didn't have my mouth guard in or something like that. And that kind of brings me to something I was thinking about earlier that you had said on Twitter with those new Riddell helmets. I think they look cool, man. I like them.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no.
They're like Space A. They're like streamlined. I mean, for one, I'm all for, again, like a guy whose brain is probably scrambled now, getting hit in the head a bunch. I'm all for, them trying to improve technology, and football is always going to be a violent, dangerous game, contact sport. But the more they can do to, keep the game fun, but also like as far as, different technology to improve safety, I'm all for it. But I like how like the visors were like integrated within the helmet. And
now that is cool. I will say that, because the nice part about getting to college is like I never had to put a visor on my helmet. I just told the equipment guy to put it on, which was nice. But in high school, right, trying to put a visor on can be.
I ended up doing like the zip ties, because then you could just like cut them off quickly, because the screw in was like, especially if it started raining and you needed to take it off, you just cut the zip tie and you're good to go.
This is the new helmet. Don't get mad. I guess I'm showing it on a Florida player here.
Ooh, so it's probably is going to look ugly then.
Yeah, it's their like throwback too. It's like the whatever. Where is it? This one.
Well, I see all these QBs wearing them, and like, are they the ones testing them out? Because they're not the ones getting hit. Okay, this 93, so that's a lineman. I think it's cool, man. I think it's streamlined. I like the curvature to it. It's different. So yeah, the people looking, they had, in years past, they came out with a helmet that had like the kind of like indentation on the front,
Yeah.
where, if you get hit, it's supposed to give a little bit, and now they added it onto the sides. Looks like the visor's kind of like integrated more. I don't know what. I think I read there's some like tracking technology in it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the rest of like the tech aspects, but
I like the new. I mean, this isn't just there; it's on the Revo Speeds. The new like it's kind of like a zip tie almost. Like you can pull it on the bottom
yeah,
instead of having to.
for the chin strap.
Yeah, instead of having to snap in. I always
Yeah,
hated clicking in.
yeah.
But all right, yeah, I want to be good on the time here, so I'll get to our last question, and then we'll come back next week. We'll think of some more stuff. We'll think of some funny names. God, the NFL will probably trade like 3 more stars, and we'll have to talk
Gives
about
us
that
something
too.
to talk about.
Yeah, dude, I can't think of an offseason that's been this crazy in a while. But so our last question, which I've been thinking about a lot, I even asked my wife this. So today, tomorrow, whatever, you have to step out on the field. We'll even make it for money for $1 million. You have to block a kick or you have to make a kick. If you don't block it, you don't get the $1 million. If you don't make the kick, you don't get the $1 million. Which one do you think gives you the best chance of winning the money?
How far distance are we talking? Is it like
Uh,
an extra point or like a legit like
maybe
long?
like okay, like well, yeah, the new extra point, the one they backed up a bit, not
Okay,
the
well,
old
yeah.
one.
What's the distance now?
Oh, is it like 30 yards? New extra point. Moved it 13 yards back, but what it is. 33 yards.
And I'm not warming up. I'm just going out and.
You can warm up. You can warm up if that's going to help you make
Well,
it.
that's the thing. It's like I don't know if I could kick a football in the air at 30.
But here's the thing: in that warm up, if you don't see him go through, is that going to mess with you? Like, are you going to be like, "Oh shit, I should have tried to block the kick"?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, so I'm like a toe basher, and like, I really don't know if I can even get the ball like up high enough. I feel like 20 yards, I could probably do it. I feel like 30. I mean, so it's one thing just like warm up on the sideline, go out and kick, but it's like I'd like to know if it's even like achievable first, I guess. So if I have to make my decision without going out and just like doing a practice field goal to then decide, if I have to decide now
Yeah,
based on
no practice. Come
today's
on, man.
info, then I'm gonna go with blocking the kick. I feel like I can
Blocking.
squeeze the corner. I'm quick. I'm gonna get a good jump on the snap. I'm gonna lay out and block it.
I think I'm going with block too, man. I think kicking's a lot harder than people give it credit for.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge mental first of all, but then even just the football's a weird shape, man. It's different than just like kicking a soccer ball or something else. And, especially if you have a guy holding it for you and then, that can mess with your head. Hey, are you gonna like kick his hand or something? Like if you haven't done it before. I feel like there's a lot more variables that, go into kicking it. So if it was a shorter kick, I'd say maybe I could, get it up there, but I don't want to risk 30 plus yards. I'm not comfortable with that, man.
You're going for the block.
Now I'm time to go out and start practicing and see.
Dude, yeah, we should try. We should try to see like what's the real distance we could get on one. Another thing, we were out of time, but we can talk about it. I tweeted about the one time I curled my wife's hair off like a YouTube tutorial, and I was saying like, what sport do you think that like if you had, we'll give you like a full, I don't know, a week, a month, however long you think you need of YouTube tutorials that you could then go to like a YMCA or a LA Fitness or a country club and be like a top 10 pick for somebody picking the teams. Like, so let's think about that for next week.
Okay.
I mean, we can say golf, but I feel like anyone that says golf is a liar. Like,
I suck at golf, man.
Yeah, so do I. There's no way you're picking that up off a YouTube tutorial, but
yeah,
let's try to think of something because I was like, man, what would it be?
Can it be like a fringe sport, or does it have to be like a Like
oh, dude, if it's fringe, that's even better. Like if it's
thinking like a pickleball or something. Like
yeah,
pickleball.
like,
I have enough athleticism, enough hand-eye coordination. But yeah, we could talk about
and all the retirees.
Yeah, exactly. Who you're playing against too, level of competence.
Yeah, pickleball, bocce ball. I don't know.
Oh,
whatever
that's a good one. Yeah, I'm good at bocce ball.
Yeah, like a fringe. Okay, yeah, let's try to think of that. And cool, man. We'll come back next week. What do you got planned? You got any more pro days on the way?
I'm done now, so hopefully no travel for a bit, but really just kind of gearing up end of April. Last weekend is the draft, so kind of busy times ahead with figuring out the rest of free agency, seeing what the rosters are looking like, and kind of getting our plans in place. But nothing else, kind of just business as usual. Anything else going on for you soon? Or?
We got the podcast. I got invited to a dinner at a fancy country club for the DC Touchdown Club. So Trayvon Diggs is going to speak there. That'll be cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. Free food and
can't go wrong with free food, man.
Schmoozing with some guys that like to talk football, so that's coming on the way. And no, man, other than that, I just do the day job.
Awesome. Yeah, well, enjoy it. Yeah, glad we survived to second podcast, and hopefully we don't get canceled before next week.
Yeah. Well, we skated the Deshaun Watson talk, so no one's probably going to cancel us anytime soon.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I was trying to be mindful of that one. And
he's guilty. No, like I've seen so much of that on Twitter, and I just don't want to talk about it. And I know we're wrapping. I'm putting it out there now. I'm not going to talk about Kaepernick on this podcast. I see all this stuff starting again. Like, give him a shot.
My opinion doesn't matter. So I'm not going to put it out there.
Yeah. I'm just like, I just kind of wanted to go away at this point. Like, I'm just like 2-3 years ago, I might've wanted to talk about, give him a chance. But now I'm kind of just like, it's time for a new story. Like,
yeah.
Live your life. Yeah, live your life, Colin. Like, there's other things besides the NFL, man. All right, until next week, man. See you then.
Yep, see you. Appreciate it.